one of the biggest scam fraud holes we've uncovered, which is really crazy, is that the government can give money to a so-called nonprofit with very few controls, and then there's no auditing subsequently of that nonprofit. So there's no. So this is where, with the 1.9 billion to Stacey Abrams, they then give themselves extremely lavish, like insane salaries, expense everything to the nonprofit. Buy jets and homes and all sorts of things.
Live like kings and queens.
Yes.
On the taxpayer dime.
Correct.
You mentioned...
And this is happening at scale. It's not just one or two. We're seeing this everywhere.
Seems like somebody might be going to jail here soon. Somebody's going to prison. According to Elon Musk, there has been a massive amount of fraud that has been uncovered. And, it is going through these NGOs, and they figured out a way to really mask things. And it's quite interesting because when he gets into it, he talks about how he thinks they're doing it. And it's quite interesting how we see some of these congressmen and women, they pop up with, this property or that property and this mansion or that mansion. It's like, how'd you get that money? You make $200,000 a year, which is nothing to scoff at. But you go from making $200,000 a year to having $1 million home, $1 million plus, and you have multiple of them. You have like a vacation home, and now your net worth is all of a sudden like 10 million. How does that work? Or in the case of Nancy Pelosi, 200 million? Kind of interesting. Let's dive in.
Elon, how are you? I'm Jesse Waters. Good to see you. I'm not going to beg for you to come on my show. I know it'll happen eventually. You said the other day you uncovered some evidence that there was massive Social Security fraud and that arrests were imminent. Yes. What can you tell us about that? And what can you tell us about what you've seen politicians do to make massive amounts of money off of the federal government, like Nancy Pelosi? Please.
Yes. So we've encountered, there's really so much for it. It's deciding what should be prosecuted first, because it's such a long list. You have to actually prioritize the list. We convey the list to the Department of Justice. The DOJ has a process that they go through to review and think about it. The wheels of justice turn slowly. In fact, obviously, I have a maniacal sense of urgency. So to me, when I see that terrible fraud has happened, I'm like, why haven't we arrested someone already? But as the saying goes, the wheels of justice turn slowly but surely. And I think probably the person that stole 400,000 Social Security numbers, at least, maybe more, will be arrested hopefully this week. With respect to the non-governmental organizations, these sort of fake NGOs, I think there needs to be a number of arrests in that regard as well, because these are fake charities where mostly Democrats, I don't want to be clear. There's sometimes a little bit of Republican in there because they sometimes throw the Republicans a bone to say, hey, be quiet about this. So that's where you start getting the uniparty thing going on. But it is overwhelmingly to Democrats, and they give give billions of dollars to NGOs run by Democrats that then go through a whole network of additional NGOs. It's a giant money laundering scheme. Really, at this point, I think the word NGO and money laundering it's almost synonymous.
So someone stole Social Security numbers to the tune of 400,000. 400,000. And according to Elon, the way that they're doing this is they're sending money to an NGO, and then they're sending it to another NGO, and then sending it to another NGO, and all along the way, they're like taking little bits and pieces out of it to make it sound and seem as if it's legit. Just moving money from one place to the next place, to the next place, to the next place, and at every stop, they're just taking one little bite out. Next stop, taking another bite out, taking another bite out, taking another bite out, right? And until it's basically gone. And all of that money is either in their pockets, which I doubt that's the case. What I think they're doing is buying properties, right? Oh, I needed a new home in this area, giving themselves exorbitant salaries. Yeah, I needed to earn, $2 million a year to work with this NGO here. Goodness gracious, man. Goodness gracious. Shout out to Elon, man. Shout out to Elon. That's a guy you don't want to piss off because Democrats have pissed him off, and now he has uncovered their honey hole. and they're about to get really, really exposed, and hopefully a lot of them go to prison for this for a very long time. But he talked about more as well. Check it out.
My question is about USAID. Has the Doge team found any evidence that any of the radical left Democrats like Maxine Waters, Adam Schiff, Chuck Schumer have received money directly from USAID? And if so, will we be hearing about that evidence anytime soon?
Yeah. So there is a massive amount of corruption, but it is circuitous. So what happens is there's money that, obviously it's your taxpayer money, that is then sent to various government organizations who then send it to NGOs, which an NGO is a non-governmental organization, but obviously if it's a government-funded non-governmental organization, it's just an organization, it's just a government. And effectively, there's a giant fraud loophole, which is that the government can send money to an NGO that is then no longer governed by the laws of the United States. So they'll send the money overseas to one NGO, then they'll go through a bunch of them, and then I'm highly confident that a bunch of that money then comes back to the United States and lands in the pockets of the people you just mentioned. But it is a circuitous route. It's not like it doesn't go directly, but let's just say that there's a lot of strangely wealthy members of Congress where I'm trying to connect the dots of how did they become rich while how'd they get 20 million if they're earning 200,000 a year? It sounds, nobody can explain that. So something's, yeah, we're going to try to figure it out and certainly stop it from happening. Yeah. I mean, just in general, there's the whole NGO scam is just crazy, yeah, it's blown my mind really. Yeah.
Bold, very bold to just be out here stealing taxpayers' money. It's a bold move. It's a real bold move. But then again, I guess when it's a situation, and this is my assumption, this is a situation where, yeah, it's mainly Democrats, but you also have some prominent Republicans that are involved in it as well. So it's kind of like a, hey, if I go down, you're going down with me kind of deal. So we just going to be on the hush-hush about all of this. Let's just keep getting our money. That's what I think is honestly happening, personally. I'm not saying Republicans are completely innocent. Are there a lot more Republicans that are innocent than Democrats? Absolutely. Absolutely. 1,000%. I feel like I can comfortably name quite a few Republicans that I feel 100% confident that they're completely innocent. Do I know that with 100% certainty? Of course not. No. But I feel like you gotta tell, like you said, there's a lot of suspiciously rich politicians, you know, like, how'd you get all this money? I'm not saying every politician has to be broke ever, right? Some politicians come from a successful family business, right? Something they were successful in their lives before politics. But there's a lot of these folks who came in with basically nothing that are all of a sudden worth millions and millions of dollars. And it's just like, this don't make sense, right? Like, you definitely scraping some off the top somewhere. And I know you're doing it in a sophisticated way so you don't get caught. So it's going to take a little while for me to connect all of these dots because, like he said, they're doing it in a very sophisticated way. They're sending money to different places to try to mix it up and make it confusing. And I'm sure along the way, and I don't know this with 100% certainty, when they take a little bit out, they're making it look as if it's a legitimate expense for said NGO. Like, hey, we needed new appliances or something for this location or that location, or we needed to send money to, I don't know, the middle of Africa for X, Y, and Z. But in reality, it's them taking the money and pocketing it. They're not buying new appliances or sending the money to some random place in Africa or something. It's them pocketing it. So it's really, really difficult to trace. It's really, really difficult to keep track of, so hey, hopefully, enough of them have messed up along the way, gotten a little sloppy over the years because they've gotten comfortable. Hopefully enough of them have done that to where Elon can uncover it and Pam Bondi can hold them accountable and we can stop this nonsense. We can stop the nonsense. But what do you guys think, man? Do you think Elon's going to be able to really connect all of the dots? Do you think he'll be successful? He won't be successful? What do you think? I personally think he will be successful. Personally. That's just my opinion. But what do you think? Let me know. Thanks for tuning in as always. Peace and love. I'm out.